Hello everyone! Let's continue with Diecember and also with the TeruShouEnnoTana story because yes, that story is becoming one of my favorites to write. The plot thickens, I think. So, I hope you are going to be enjoying this one too. And overall, the whole storyline is just, as I said, I love writing it. I'm so excited for this one. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos and also comment, of course. You are keeping this channel alive and going, and your comments make my day. So continue in that and let's get into it. I hope you will enjoy. The atmosphere in their household was much more tense than Daisho would wish for the days leading up to Christmas. Not that he wondered. The last holiday he spent with his boyfriends ended up in tears and with everyone on edge, subconsciously waiting whether the stranger would come back or not. And while nothing seemed out of the ordinary, with another major upcoming holiday, he often caught his boyfriends watching him like hawks. It wasn't unpleasant in any way. On the contrary, he never felt safer than with them watching over him. Yet, he would much prefer if he wasn't causing additional issues for them. And then there was another thing. He jumped slightly when, same as throughout the last week, he arrived home from practice and was greeted by a small, wrapped box lying in front of their door. His hand trembled when he picked it up. Just as before, there was no indication of who it was from, the only thing written on it being his name. It wasn't anything dangerous, he was sure of it, but that didn't ease the heavy, sinking feeling in his stomach when he took it inside. "I'm home." A muffled welcome came in answer, letting him know only Tanaka was at home right now. He carefully put the box on the table and headed further into the house, soon finding Tanaka surrounded by wooden planks, tools, bolts, and printed instructions. Just like 3 hours ago when he left. "How is it going?" Tanaka groaned in frustration, looking like he couldn't decide between kicking the only part of their new cupboard he managed to put together and tearing the instructions apart. Slowly. Very slowly. "Do you want help with it? I can hold it together for you if you want." To his surprise, Tanaka gave him a small smile before shaking his head. "No, it's fine. You should rest after practice." "I'll make it work somehow." "Okay, but you can call me at any time. I'll help." Tanaka just hummed, apparently fully focused on the task at hand again, and Daisho sighed in relief. He tried his hardest to not let his overthinking mind stop him from interacting with his boyfriends lately, but when dealing with Tanaka, he still wasn't sure where to step to avoid annoying him. He took the strange gift again and headed to his room when he froze mid-step under Tanaka's gaze. "Another one of those, huh?" Shiver ran down Daisho's spine, his mind racing to come up with a response that wouldn't make things worse. "Yeah, I found it by the door. I'm not sure what it is." "Huh, I see your secret Santa is determined." "I suppose." He waited, the box and his bag clutched convulsively in his hands, ready to bolt into the room at the slightest implication of anger. But Tanaka just hummed again and returned to reading the manual, though Daisho didn't miss the hard lines around his mouth from the clenched jaw. Only then he moved again, his heart pounding into his ribs as he closed the door behind him, the contents rattling inside the box. A shaky curse aimed at himself slipped from his lips. He knew he had nothing to be scared of from Tanaka. The man was too kind to even raise his voice at him, let alone actually hit him. He knew that. And yet, when it came to moments like this, he couldn't stop his instincts from kicking in, even after almost 4 months of them dating. Just because of these gifts. Still slightly rattled, he turned the box in his hands, contemplating whether he should open it or not. The contents of the previous 4 were stored in his desk, out of sight, and he wished the number would stop growing. He didn't even know who they were from. At first, he thought it was one of his boyfriends playing a Secret Santa, as Tanaka dubbed it, messing with him a bit, but all in all meaning it as a sweet gesture. However, judging by the annoyance very much visible on all their faces whenever he took yet another gift inside, neither of them was responsible. And yet, when he opened them, he found the exact things he would wish to get for Christmas, but didn't dare to tell anyone out loud about. Under any other circumstances, he would call it sweet and thoughtful. Like this, though, it creeped him out. Maybe I should just leave them there, not pick them up at all. Who knows? He shivered upon recalling what happened when he didn't show gratefulness in the past. Maybe. He's not messing with me, right? Can't. He's in jail. This can't be his work. With his heart pounding and hands trembling, he unwrapped the blue paper and opened the box, finding a bracelet made of mineral and golden beads with a flying bird pendant. The exact same one he eyed in a nearby jewelry shop a few days ago when he went home from practice. Not for himself though, but as a potential gift for Terushima. He almost dropped both the box and the bracelet, his throat closing. No. This isn't happening. He quickly threw the bracelet to the other things. His favorite chocolate he now refused to touch. 2 tickets for a movie he now couldn't even go near to. The only scented soap he used to be able to use without getting sick. And a new set of noise-cancelling earphones he couldn't bring himself to take out of the package. And shut the drawer with perhaps more force than necessary before he bolted out of the room. Tanaka looked up when he barged into the living room, the surprise on his face soon turning into worry. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a demon. What was inside that thing? Nothing important, but can I stay here with you? Please, just for a while. Despite clearly being confused, Tanaka immediately reached his hand to him and made some space for him to sit down. Sure, come here. You can hold this for me if you want. That would really help. Daisho nodded and curled on the carpet, trying to be as small as possible while convulsively clenching the 2 wooden desks Tanaka showed him to hold in place. Tanaka didn't say anything about it, and instead started to talk about his work and troubles with his clients, for which Daisho was endlessly grateful. Despite his earlier fearful thoughts, Tanaka's voice and presence had a soothing effect on him. Not enough to make him forget, but enough to momentarily settle his nerves. Before he noticed it, almost 3 hours had gone by. The cupboard was done, and the strange gifts lay in the drawers, forgotten for now. The tiny sliver of hope the mysterious gifter forgot about him, or perhaps got bored of Daisho not reciprocating the gesture, dissipated like a steam when, 3 days before Christmas Eve and after almost a week without a single gift, Daisho came home to yet another box settled on their threshold, this time wrapped by a red paper and pink ribbon. The whole week, he kept looking over his shoulder the whole time he went out, dreaded coming home, scared of what he could find waiting for him. For a whole week, he could breathe a little bit more freely after coming home, to his safe haven. And now the carefully crafted piece was gone, snatched from him by a single red box. His stomach sank as he hesitantly picked the box up, the fact that it was bigger and much heavier than the previous ones not calming at all. He had it inside, an ill feeling settling around his lungs when he heard the muffled chatter from the kitchen. Everyone's home today. He briefly contemplated leaving the box in the hallway and coming back for it later before he caught himself. Sure, his boyfriends were obviously not happy about the gifts, but that didn't mean they would get mad at him because of him getting another one, right? Right? They aren't like that, come on. Still, his voice hitched a bit when he called his greeting, the short silent pause before the answer came telling him they noticed his hesitation. Sure enough, Terushima's head soon popped out of the kitchen, measuring him with a concerned look. Everything okay? You sounded... His gaze fell on the box in Daisho's hand, the rest of the question forgotten as he clenched his jaw. Another one of those, huh? His words, despite being said in a neutral tone, cracked like a whip, and Daisho had to fight the urge to step back when Enoshita and Tanaka appeared in front of him too. Oh, another mysterious gift, eh? Yeah? I don't know how it got there. Wonder what they are all about. Mysterious gifts from a mysterious person, huh? Daisho blinked, confused by Terushima's tone. He shooed away the tiny voice screaming at him to turn around and ran out of the door, and instead pushed around the three into the living room, the box somehow getting heavier in his hand. Come on, Suguru, don't tell me you have no idea who can be behind this. Daisho turned around, suddenly a little too aware he had his back to three other people. Enoshita had to notice his starting anguish and grabbed Tanaka's shoulder, shaking his head a bit before he turned to Daisho again. You know you can tell us, right? Especially if they are making you uncomfortable. I would tell you if I knew, but I don't. I told you before. I have no idea who that person is or why they are doing this. I don't even know how they figure these things out. I haven't told anyone I want them. He shivered. It wasn't entirely true. He had an idea about that, which made everything even worse. But he couldn't possibly hope his boyfriends would believe him that. Though, judging by Terushima's current expression, he had trouble believing him either way. Interesting. Yuji, stop that. What? I'm sorry, but our boyfriend is getting gifts from God knows who, and it's all things he secretly wants. It's weird. You should be more weirded out. Daisho instinctively cowered a bit, squeezing the box in his hand. He wouldn't go as far as to say Terushima sounded hostile, but it didn't take an expert to know he was upset. I really don't know who they are from. I would tell that person to stop if I did. Terushima huffed, soon followed by Tanaka's low grumble, both sounding thoroughly unconvinced. Daisho's eyes darted to Enoshita, looking for a calming point or aid, but even the ever-so-calm physician seemed to be getting irked by the sight of the box in his hands. They couldn't all be mad, right? It wasn't his fault the gift kept appearing. Or maybe it was. Maybe he did something that kept the person interested in giving him all those things. Maybe it was his fault, like always. He backed away, his fingers almost crumpling the box. I don't have to open it. I'll just put it back if you want. He dreaded upsetting whoever was giving him the presents, but upsetting his boyfriends was even scarier. Silence settled in the room for a while, before Terushima let out a deep sigh. Nah, it's your gift. Do what you want with it. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like that. Yeah, it's weird. But it's not your fault. We aren't blaming you. The strange tension broke like ice above a lake in spring, and Daisho relaxed a bit. There was still something of the unsettling feeling hanging in the air, but at least he couldn't sense any immediate danger. As if that would ever happen with them. You don't deserve them for thinking like that. He really didn't, but old habits died slowly. He opted not to hide away with the gift this time and put the box on the coffee table, joining the others in the kitchen briefly to fetch himself scissors. Enoshita gave him an apologetic smile, gently bumping his shoulder as he walked by. Daisho did his best to reciprocate, though he was pretty sure every expression he could muster would look forced right now. He carefully removed the ribbon and paper, scrunching his nose when he caught a whiff of a subtle, sour smell. A quick glance towards the kitchen told him it wasn't anything his boyfriends were preparing there, meaning it had to be coming from the gift. Even more hesitant than before, he took a deep breath and opened the lid. A terrified scream echoed off of the walls. He backed away in a desperate attempt to escape the sight of the box content, coughing, his hands immediately shooting to his face to shield his nose from the horrible stench. His stomach rolled, kicking on his gag reflex when he fully realized what the dark red mess inside was. Suguru? He turned away and broke in the waist, stomach acids rising into his throat. However, looking elsewhere was for nothing. The memory of what looked scarily similar to a human heart still covered in blood lying in the box was already firmly burned into his mind. Suguru, what's... Jesus Christ, what is that? A single choked whimper was all Daisho managed in an answer before he was preoccupied again by trying not to vomit all over the carpet. Arms wrapped around him, a hollow voice saying something he couldn't understand by his ear. But the hand gently rubbing his shoulder was telling enough. Breathe, come on. Breathe with your mouth. He wasn't sure if it was just his subconsciousness telling him that or someone else, but he obediently followed the order, taking a few shaky breaths with his mouth. That's it. Keep breathing. It's fine, it's gone. Ah, it was someone else's voice guiding him then. By the sound, Yuji's. Made sense. His eyes watered as he continued to raggedly gasp for air, feeling like he was getting strangled. The warm hand didn't stop rubbing circles into his back, keeping him grounded like an anchor. It's okay now, I promise. That... The box is closed, don't worry. That wasn't what he was worried about, but it did help to know he wouldn't have to see the bloody mess again. Do you need to go to the bathroom? Shaking his head, he took a few more deep breaths. His hands still trembled, but at least he didn't feel like he was going to greet the floor from up close in a second. He looked up, through the mist in his vision meeting Terushima's concerned gaze. He flinched when Terushima brushed his thumb under his eye, guilt hitting him immediately when the contact abruptly ended. Sorry, I forgot to ask, I know. Daisho hated it. Hated he was so broken that his boyfriend, a person he loved and trusted more than most, Couldn't touch him without triggering bad memories even when he just wanted to help. Hated he was still bound to his past by invisible chains weighing him down on every step. It's fine. Just put it away, please. It's gone, I promise. Ryu and Chika took it away. That was... Shh, don't think about it. I know that's difficult since, but don't, okay? Sit down and keep breathing, okay? Everything is alright. Daisho did as he was told, collapsing on the couch like a sack of potatoes. He instinctively curled into a ball, his hands still trembling as he raked his fingers through his hair. Why would anyone send this? It can't be him. It can't. He's in jail. How could he? Suguru. He jumped when the deep voice sounded above him, the wet trails left by his tears chilling when he looked up. Tanaka knelt in front of him, gently taking his hands away from his hair, the calloused thumbs caressing the insides of his wrists in an experienced motion. Daisho shivered. Where? It's away now. The soft tone did nothing to mask the strange expression on Enoshita's face, and judging by how both Tanaka and Terushima paused, they had to see it too. Did you take a look at it? Yeah, even though I would much rather not. It's not an actual human heart, is it? Silence. Chika? A look of utter disgust mixed with horror settled on Enoshita's face as he glanced over his shoulder towards the bathroom. I'm pretty sure it is. Or some really high-quality imitation. Daisho gagged, barely keeping the contents of his stomach where it was supposed to be. Though, by the looks of it, neither of them was doing much better. Jesus Christ! What kind of psychopath would send something like this? And why? What is this, a mob movie? Enoshita shrugged, visibly shuddering. I don't know, but there was a letter by it too. Daisho froze as if someone stabbed him, his throat closing when Enoshita handed him a piece of folded paper covered in drawn hearts. The arms around him tightened as Tanaka took the letter instead. What does it say? I'm giving you my heart, that which you already stole. I hope you won't give it away. It's Christmas after all. What in the actual fuck? A strangled whimper left Daisho's mouth as he curled more into a ball, hiding his face in his palms. He felt sick, physically and mentally alike. The urge to jump into a shower and scrub his skin to get rid of the invisible crawling feeling intensified, the only thing keeping him in place being his boyfriend's hands. Up until today, he managed to convince himself that maybe it was just a misguided attempt to get his attention. A bit creepy, but harmless in the end. But now... He only knew one person capable of something like this, and the thought made him feel faint. Suguru. He flinched, snapped back into reality by Tanaka's voice. The man was still kneeling by him, obviously confused, but his voice was calm, soft, worried. He managed to stay still when the gentle fingers wiped away the tears from his cheeks, even leaning into the touch a bit, chasing after the warmth it usually brought. Tanaka seemed to understand and cupped his face, sending light jolts through Daisho's skin. Do you think... Desperate, Daisho shook his head. It can't be him. He can't. He's in jail. He is. Maybe we could call that prison to check. We have to call the police anyway. He turned to Enoshita. Do you think your former captain could help? I'll give him a call. This is disgusting. Didn't he cause you enough pain already? He's not the type to stop. They all paused, each preoccupied by their own thoughts. Then Tanaka sighed deeply and gently tucked Daisho into his arms, wrapping him in a light yet firm embrace. What are we going to do if it is him? For that, neither of them had an answer. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know. Torturing Daisho once again. I'm not giving my poor boy much time to relax. But yeah, this storyline is focused on him mostly. And like his overall struggle with past and present and his mental state and his trauma. So yeah, as I said, it has become one of the most entertaining storylines I've written so far, and I'm very much enjoying writing it. Poor Daisho, but yeah, I can't do much about that. So I hope you are looking for the continuation of this, because there is a lot. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.